Good evening. Welcome to another edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show right here on YouTube. My name is Leon Jones, and I'm going to get right into it. Tonight, I'm going to talk about the mainstream media, Kamala Harris interview. Of course, I'll go a little deeper into Kamala Harris, and I'm going to end it off with the polls. Now, first, let's talk about the mainstream media. Now, as you know, the mainstream media is in it for Kamala Harris. They are aligned for Kamala Harris. Every time I turn on CNN, MSNBC, they're very crooked. And I'm urging a lot of individuals out there not to watch the mainstream media. You see, here's what the mainstream media is saying. Because right now, Kamala Harris isn't doing well with black men. And I understand why she's not doing well with black men or with men, period. I'm going to tell you this, and this is the truth, and this is the hard truth. And it's not misogyny, because I hear a lot of people talking about misogyny, but nobody's looking at the other side. We have a number of individual women voting for Kamala Harris because she's a woman. And to take it one step further, a number of black women are voting for Kamala Harris because she is a woman and she's melanin. So if you think about it, yes, there are going to be individuals from both genders voting for Donald Trump and Kamala Harris because of the gender. Now, that being said, when I turn on the mainstream media and perhaps I watch CNN, and the only one that seems to be good on CNN is Scott Jennings, the one that they hired, the African American woman, Abby Phillips. Certainly, she's all in it. And what I see about the mainstream media, they do not do good research. Now, there have been plenty of clips with two guys up there looking at the numbers. Well, Obama did this with men, with black men in 2008. Here's where he is in 2024. Well, I want, and this is going to be repeated again when I go to the part of this video that talks about the polls. Listen, the polls don't mean anything right now. The main poll is what's happening during voting. Now, I myself have already voted. Early voting here in Indiana started last week. So I got my vote out of the way. And there are a number of people who are doing early voting right now, particularly in Pennsylvania and in Georgia. I'm hearing, at least from last night, 300,000 people have voted early. And I do suggest individuals to get out early and vote. Voting makes a difference. And not only vote for the president, but also their gubernatorial races, their local races. There are also senatorial races, and of course, congressional races. Individuals must look at the ballot before they vote. Now, of course, you have your imbeciles out there that are voting based on race and gender. This is what happened to Obama. You know, it's funny that the mainstream media is still looking at Obama as the great savior for Kamala Harris. Well, apparently, he's not doing too well out there. In fact, the worst thing that Mr. Obama could do is shame black men into voting for Kamala Harris. Now, I'm going to tell you this. You got knuckleheads or you got I believe she is mentally ill. That Joy Reid, she is definitely mentally ill. She needs to get right off television. And that roly poly Roland Martin, I like to put my boot right in his ass because that's one Negro. He likes to talk a lot of shit. I tell you what, he's one that you need to go upside his head. I mean, he thinks he knows everything. You got to get him by himself. You got to tag him. See, the problem I have with a number of these older black men, they talk tough, but they come from the women. A number of them, they have the mindset of a woman. And I'm talking about the early Gen Xers, which are my age, and going back to number of the baby boomers, particularly the black men. Well, these are the guys that are going to vote Democrat. And I'm hoping that we get enough of these guys and gals to continually die off because they're on a plantation. They don't think for themselves. And see, this is what the mainstream media wants. See, the mainstream media is concocting everything. They're trying to deceive people, particularly the Trump supporters, like myself. But see, they couldn't do that because I already knew what was going on. I have a YouTube channel, just like a number of other people. I am the media here. I know what's going on. I report what's going on, not based on what I see on TV without hearing the real world. But I also hear from other YouTubers who are doing the same thing. The problem with the mainstream media, they're always saying that Trump is Hitler. Well, you want to know who the real commies are? It's the mainstream media. They're protecting Kamala Harris at all costs. She has no policies. And one thing that ticked me off with her is she put out a policy where she's trying to give $20 million to black men for businesses. And then she talks about, in one of her policies, health. Well, a number of us are already taking care of our health. Now you have some that aren't. But the last one, she's talking about medical marijuana. And when I take a look at that one about marijuana, what does she look at black men as individuals who are selling drugs, smoking blunts, and hustling? I mean, she's obviously the one that said she's listened to Tupac in the 1980s when Tupac didn't come out until 1992. And then he was a member of Digital Underground in 1990. But the bottom line is the media is letting Kamala Harris get away with lies. And she keeps telling us, well, I grew up in a household, in a middle class household. She did not grow up in a hood. She grew up in Montreal and she lived in California. And I'm going to tell you, she hasn't had to do much heavy lifting, except she was on her back with her legs up in the air to a couple of guys. That's how she got her way into politics. I mean, she can't pass her bar exam. She's not that smart. And I'm not misogynistic. I'm going based off what I see. Now, I do believe that as a man, no, I don't want a woman leading anything. I don't. And in my opinion, it takes a certain type of woman to lead, but most women can't lead. They can't even take care of their own lives, let alone leading companies and trying to lead a country. She's talking about her presidency, what I'm going to do for my presidency. Well, she is part of the Biden administration now. Well, why couldn't she go to Mr. Biden and say, hey, why don't we enact these policies? Of course, Biden is still president, but she can have a lot of input on getting Biden to sign executive orders, like about the border. She is constantly blaming Trump for the border. Going back to this border bill, she said, well, they had a bill where 5 conservatives, oh, they agreed with it. Well, there were some Democrats that didn't. It was a Democratic bill, but some Democrats didn't agree with it, and only 5 Republicans agreed with it. It was a bad bill because it was not going to bring in any border security. Instead, it was going to send money out to other countries. Just like now. Biden just sent out a ton of money this afternoon. So all that money that they're sending out, they can take care of their people at home. You have individuals during this hurricane, and they're still cleaning up after this hurricane, that can't even get $750. $750. Now that tells you that this government doesn't care about the people. And the funny thing about, here's the media. The media thinks we're all lying. Now this situation about the Haitians eating dogs and cats, the media put that out. Now, of course, Donald Trump, he fell for it, but I did hear Haitian, and shout out to ABL and Brandon Tatum, that there was a Haitian that did admit that there are Haitians who do eat cats. Maybe not here, but in their country. I mean, heck, I eat collard, I eat chitlins, I eat scrapple. I mean, there will be things that we eat that other countries don't approve of. Heck, Asian individuals eat dogs. That's true. They eat bugs. I know. But see, the media, the mainstream media, and I'm talking about the alphabet channels, and of course, CNN and MSNBC, they're putting out all the propaganda. And what's going to happen is it's going to come down to, if Kamala Harris loses this election, well, we'll see how well the media really does, because they're going to have to uproot some people because they put out a lot of propaganda. And this is why I'm telling individuals, even when we on YouTube put out some information, we have facts, but make sure you do your own research, because whether you're voting or not, whether it's going to be this election or the midterm election in 2026, you need to know what's going on. You don't need somebody giving you propaganda like Obama. Obama wanted to take credit for the economy that Trump got. He said he started it. Well, here's what happened on that. The market knew Obama was in his last term. So prior to Obama leaving, and then the market, knowing that Trump was coming in to be president, the market went up. And that was for the last 2 months or maybe 3 months of Obama's presidency. Because under Obama, again, he was put in there symbolism. Obama's biracial. Obama is clean cut. I mean, McCain and Mitt Romney, they were terrible opponents for the Republicans. That's all they had. They didn't like Hillary. And the funny thing about the media, particularly some men calling other men misogynists, well, I've heard the liberal men call the conservative women all kinds of bitches and whores as well. You see, let me tell you something about the left in this country. They're the most vile, nefarious, evil people out there. They're the most intolerant people out there. You got people like Joy Reid out there on this media saying that if Trump loses, the Republicans are going to go out and get violent. There's nobody that's going to get any more violent than the Democrats. You look at it during the George Floyd era, they were the ones who got violent, burned down the towns, didn't care about anything. They're the ones who can't deal with losses. And they're talking about erroneous elections. I'll use that word, erroneous elections. Hillary believes that in 2016 because she won the popular vote and Trump won the electoral college that she should have been president. Well, no, we have an electoral college so every state in the union gets represented. Because if we didn't have the electoral college, California and New York, they would establish the presidency every 4 years. Now, this was set up by the founding fathers. It was part of checks and balances. Now, if you look at the mainstream media, when Tim Walz and when Kamala Harris come on the mainstream media, they don't get tough questions. But when Trump and when Vance come on television, like CNN, they get tough questions. In fact, Trump hasn't done 60 Minutes because Leslie Saul said something that was erroneous, and Trump called it out. And it's now been proven that Trump was right. You can't trust the mainstream media. Now, here's something else that's funny. Kamala Harris is claiming that Trump won't debate her. No, Trump is not going to debate her in friendly confounds or combines where she's going to have the advantage. Trump will debate her when she has individuals like me or some fun, people like me are going to ask her tough questions, or somebody like a Bill O'Reilly or Brandon Tatum or ABL or an angry man. We're going to ask tough questions. You should have seen what happened tonight. Bad mistake that Kamala Harris went on Fox News. She thought she was going to get a gift. And let me tell you something, she sounded just like a bitch tonight. I'm going to call it right out. Even though she's not a black woman, sounded like a typical black woman. When you get it down, she wants to interrupt. She wants to be combative. She didn't answer any questions tonight. And I want everybody to watch that video. It's going to be out there. Brett Baird from Fox News interviewed Kamala Harris tonight. And she thought she was going to walk in there and memorize everything and get softball questions. She didn't get softball questions. In fact, Brett Baird should have gone in there and said, well, people who work around Trump claim that they couldn't work with Trump. No, they were incompetent, so Trump fired them. But Brett Baird should have gone in, like I would have gone in and said, well, how come you had 92% of the people that worked for you quit on you? Because you can't run anything. She talks about business. She's never run a business. She can't even spell business. She's not even coherent. And what's going to happen now? Here's what the mainstream media is going to do. It's going to come out tomorrow where, oh, well, he beat up on a woman. No, he didn't beat up on a woman. See, let me tell you women something. You want her to be equal. You want to step out there in a lion's den, you're going to get eaten. And there's one thing that wasn't brought up, and nobody on YouTube has said it but me right now. It didn't bring up the deletion of babies argument. Didn't bring it up not one time tonight. Normally, that was Harris's main point, deleting babies. It didn't happen. Clinton, he caught himself up. He said, well, they should have vetted all the illegals before they came in. Well, yeah. And then tonight, Kamala Harris claims she went to the border. No, she went to the border for a photo op. And then 20 minutes later, she's going to do a small rally in a building. So she really didn't go down to the border. And then what she's trying to do, she's trying to mimic everything that Trump is doing. Okay, when Trump has his rallies, He shows up all of the videos. He shows all of the videos. Kamala Harris said things that normally many of us disagree with. Well, here's the problem with a lot of clips out there, like the one that she's claiming Trump said he was going to send the military to round up all of the individuals who to whom they disagree with. No, that's the Democrats. The individuals to whom they disagree with, they want to silence them. They want to lock them up. These are the ones who are your commies and your Nazis, not the people on the right. See, the mainstream media has you thinking that it's the people on the right who are doing all the violence. No, it's the people on the left because they're immature, they're very emotional, and they don't have a breast of any issues. They call names, they're racist, they're sexist. Again, they're intolerant. And when you go to all these shows on the media, they're all cackling. And the liberals are your most dangerous people. She's talking about Trump. I'm talking about Harris and the media. About Trump is a danger to democracy. Well, we don't live in a democracy. We live in a constitutional republic. I pointed that out. But you have the word democracy. Now, we might have some ingredients, I'll use that word, some ingredients of a democracy where the majority wins. But even when something is being run through Senate on legislation, well, there's a filibuster. Well, you know, Kamala Harris wants to get rid of the filibuster. Kamala Harris keeps saying tax cuts for the rich, tax cuts for the rich. Well, number one, what is considered rich? Who is actually wealthy? Nobody's answering that. And something else I'm gonna ask too. Nobody's answering this. Let's talk about the deleting babies right now. Okay, I'm gonna take a pro-life position right now, where okay, women believe that it's a woman's right, it's their body, it's their child, right? All right. So if I want the child as a man, but she doesn't want it, it's her body, it's her choice, right? But now, what if I don't want it, but she wants it? Oh, then the eyes go up. Oh, well, no, I want it. I don't believe in deleting babies. No, she doesn't believe in deleting babies because she gets a check. And I'm going to be told I need to be more responsible. Well, what about her? They have over 30 methods of birth control where men only have three. But we're always told that we have to be responsible. Now, you women out there, are you ever going to grow up? Or are you still going to be children? Because you've been catered to all your lives, particularly by a lot of simps out here. And no, you talk about the word misogyny, you have a lot of misandrous women out there. Again, you think that there are a number of women out there voting for Kamala Harris because she has good policies? No, they're voting for Kamala Harris for these reasons: gender, race, deletion of babies, and they're anti-Trump. That's why they're voting for Kamala Harris. They don't care anything about the country. Again, as I just mentioned, Joe Biden just gave money away today. Can't take care of your own people. And see, we could get everything down if we stop. Number one, we got to close that border. Number two, you really want to get rid of the illegals. Don't give them any government benefits. See, the money that they're spending on illegals here, could be money to help those individuals in North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia. But the bottom line, the media is saying that all those folks down in North Carolina are wrong. Oh, that's not happening. That's bullshit. It is happening. See, here's the problem with these limousine liberals who are working in New York, Atlanta, Chicago, and LA. They're sitting back in their cozy offices, like that fat ass dude named Gerald Nadler, little congressman from New York. Looked like a Napoleon dude. Okay. When they were having all these riots out there back in 20, he said, it's all myth. Well, did you get your fat ass out of your seat and go out there and look? No, you didn't. See, these liberals sit back there and they do a lot of talking. I'm talking about the liberal media. They do a lot of talking. They're not out there with the boots on the ground. They had a shooting in Oklahoma City this past weekend at a party. 12 injured, 1 died. Has that been mentioned? No. You have a number of kids missing out there, probably through human trafficking. Has that been mentioned? No. All I hear on the mainstream media is how Trump is incoherent. Did he bring out his medical evaluation? I believe Kamala Harris needs a medical evaluation because she's 60 years old. She ain't got it. She's not very smart. She avoids questions. See, she thought tonight when Brett Baird was interviewing her that he was going to be soft. So what she tries to do is memorize all of the questions. See, when you have to constantly memorize all the questions, she already knows what venues to go to who aren't going to ask her the tough questions. When she got asked those tough questions tonight, she got triggered. It looked like she was ready to fight. But she asked for it. She went into the belly of the beast and got toasted. And that's what happens. I mean, she would have come up my way. She would have gotten toasted because I know the issues. The bottom line, she wants to be president, but she thinks she can glide away into the presidency. She doesn't know anything about the economy, talking about capital gains. How you gonna tax capital gains when there are no capital gains? Looking at the numbers. Okay. She says under Donald Trump, we had a bad economy. Well, no. The economy started to go down when we had COVID because the government had to take care of a worldwide event. But prior to that, it was pretty good. And then she said, well, the last decade, the economy was bad. She was part of the last decade. And then Obama was part of it as well. So I could say at least 3 out of those 7 years were pretty damn good. She doesn't want to tell you about the cost of food. She keeps talking about an opportunity economy. First of all, Ms. Harris, this is what I would say. Nobody's ever going to start at the same place. It never works like that. What she really wants to do, she's saying with her plan, and some economists told her plan was going to be good for this country. I would ask her, well, who are these economists? Can I speak with one? Because from looking at your plan is basically to utilize government to redistribute wealth. So you all are going to control the resources of the economy. Well, that's the socialist route. That's not the correct route that's going to help the market. You really want to stimulate the market here, stop giving money to illegals, Stop sending money over to Ukraine. Let's bring the energy prices down. In other words, let's frack. Let's continue the XL pipeline. Let's be energy independent. Then we don't have to depend on OPEC. Then our prices are going to come down. And yes, she was talking about tariffs, which is a tax to somebody else trying to import their goods into our country. Trump said he's going to charge a tariff. And the funny thing about it is, Joe Biden still has Trump's tariffs. He hasn't taken away Trump's tariffs. Now, the tax cuts. She said the wealthiest people got the tax cuts when Trump was in power. No, we all got a tax cut. It may not have been as big, wasn't as big because, okay, make the money like a millionaire, but I got something. And when he says no tax on tips, she followed over no tax on tips. Now, I haven't heard her yet say no tax on overtime. But what she's trying to do, she's trying to mimic everything that he's doing, but it's not going to work. Because if you're trying to mimic everything that I'm doing, you're already proving that my policies are working. So you're cutting your own nose to spite your face. That's what you're doing. Now, is it all Kamala's fault? A lot of it, when it comes to campaigning, it is her fault for not shaking up her campaign. See, if something goes wrong in Trump's campaign, he's going to shake it up. He's going to get rid of people. See, Trump is a businessman. He's not a politician. And see, the thing about these politicians is they're very slick. Now, I believe Kamala Harris evades questions on purpose. Politicians do that. And see, politicians have never owned anything in their lives. Now, J.D. Vance. See, Kamala Harris was complaining that J.D. Vance and the media is saying that he's hiding in the basement. Well, how is he hiding in the basement when he's doing 2 and 3 rallies and town halls a day? And then the other day, he had music at one of his town halls because there were a couple of his patrons that had something go wrong with them medically. He cares about people. And let me tell you why he cares about people. During the hurricane, Elon Musk and Trump, they gave communication services, and I believe Trump gave $25 million to make sure that the hurricane victims were all right. Did not hear not one thing come from any of these celebrities' mouths. But you got people like Van Jones, Magic Johnson. You got people like D.L. Hewley, Steve Harvey, all these simp niggas out here going out here, and Obama. Obama. Now, I was listening to one of Angry Man's shows, and he was talking about reparations. Now, where I would go with the reparations as well is, what he forgot to mention is, when we had concentration camps over here during World War II, yes, we did too, for the Japanese. We ended up giving the Japanese reparations as well. Now, I do believe that we should not give cash reparations out to any black people because it's going to go right back into the system. What I do believe is, okay, we should pay a lower tax rate. I do believe that. I'm in agreement with Angry Man on that. Now, when it comes to college, give us a lower tuition rate. Now, the problem with reparations is we're going to have people scheming, even who are Caucasian. They're going to try to get reparations. They're going to say, well, we had some black in our family. And when it comes to tracing back to our family tree, a lot of us, like even myself, we got something else with us. So we could, yeah, we have black, but a lot of us are mixed with something else. We are. And reparations is, we'll never get it, but we can start to talk about it. And I do agree, if you are not African American, you shouldn't be talking about reparations. See, I don't talk about the Holocaust because I'm not Jewish. It doesn't concern me. It's just like I don't talk about bleeding babies. It doesn't concern me. But again, on that issue where I, as a man, would start to say something, if women are going to talk about the deleting babies issue, then they need to learn to be consistent with it. And the reason why I say be consistent, it sounds like they want the American taxpayer to pay for partial birth deletions or all deletions. There are a lot of Planned Parenthood, and I believe Planned Parenthood, which was started by Margaret Sanger, which is in a lot of urban areas, because she really wanted African Americans. She was one of the biggest races of them all. She wanted us to be exterminated, but nobody ever talks about that. Bottom line is, what the media wants from us, they want to be able to censor us and put what we should know, even if it's propaganda. And the media is sitting there lying. This is why the deception is there. See, the polls, and I want to tell you something about these polls while I hop on. Number one, when you're looking at the polls, and I'm going to have to say this over and over and over and over again. When you are looking at the polls, do not look at RV. RV, I'm not talking about recreational vehicle. I am talking about registered voters. Just because you're registered to vote, does that mean will you vote? No. You look at likely voters. And I believe, now, of course, the media says Trump is overperforming. No, he's not overperforming. The Democrats are oversampling themselves to make it look like they're ahead. So you have to look at the methodology. You have to look at who they're polling. I've never been polled. And when the sample size, even 2000, okay, you're going to give me a poll out there. We have 330 million people in the United States. Let's say about 180 of us, 180 million of us are able to vote. Well, that little small sample, 2,700, you have some towns that are in a populace of 2,700, even at 27,000. Certainly, it's a larger sample, but it doesn't mean anything. And you have to look at your area. This is why early voting, you want to get a poll, you can get a poll now of how many people have early voted. That would be a true poll because you have a true number. These polls that you see CNN and MSNBC talk, don't even look at them because they're not telling you how they got the number. When I look at numbers, when I look at any type of information, and you just tell me this information that you've given me, I look at it. I'm gonna say, well, how do you get it? What methodology? You see, I'm an engineer, so one thing that comes out of my mouth is methodology. I do not work on feelings. And see, again, you have a number of individuals. You have a number of stupid black women, stupid white women, dumb black men, dumb white men. And I'm talking about these individuals. They're calling us misogynists because we don't want to vote for Harris. Well, I'm not voting for Harris. And if I don't want to vote for a woman, does it make it wrong? Because you got a number of women out there again who don't want to vote for a man. And you got women out there. What about the women who don't want to vote for a woman? You don't hear anybody saying that here on YouTube. I'm saying it. You got a number of women right now who are in the workforce, and they'll tell you they don't want to work for another woman because women are catty. They're emotional. They don't get things done. Now, people like Tulsi Gabbard, she could be a good leader. She was a lieutenant colonel in the military. You have exceptions, but for the rule, I just don't believe most women or a substantial amount of women are not good leaders. And here's one pointing out Kamala Harris. You know what she keeps doing? She keeps blaming Trump. Trump this, Trump that, Trump this. Why don't you take responsibility like an adult and say, yeah, we didn't do it this way. We could have done it this way. And she could do everything she wants now if she talks to Biden to make herself look great. But she's telling us what she's going to do when she becomes president, but keeps forgetting that she is still the vice president. If Biden were on the ticket, she and Biden would be the incumbent administration. And Trump and Vance would be the challengers. And generally, for the most part, except in 2020, you know what happened during that fiasco? Obama, he was in 2 terms. Bush was in 2 terms. Clinton was in 2 terms. And prior to that, the first Bush was only in there 1 term. Reagan was in there 2 terms. Well, we go back, Carter was in 1 term, and Nixon would have been in 2 terms, but the Watergate scandal hit him, and then Johnson. He may have been in there 2 terms, but the Vietnam War stuck him up. Kennedy would have been in there 2 terms. But you know what happened to that? I believe Ike was in there 2 terms. See, I went all the way back to the 1950s. And this is what individuals need to start doing. They need to start reading some American history. Look at what's going on out here. Look at what has happened. And, you know, with us black people, one of the reasons why I believe black people, until they change their mindset, I mean, the older ones are gone. The older ones are, I'm going to say this, and it's going to hurt. A lot of them, they don't think for themselves. They're stuck on a plantation. That's why it makes us look monolithic. And, you know, when you have Obama out there trying to tell us who to vote for, that's a problem. I mean, people voted for him because he was melanin. Nobody else can refute that. They did. A number of people voted for Obama because he was melanin and he was very polished. Then he was, because Obama came in there and said the turnout amongst black people was a little lower than it was when I came in. Well, when he came in, it was different. There hadn't been anybody that was melanin as president. And he happened to come in at the right time because, again, he was running against Hillary. He had to get through Hillary in order to get to McCain. And you know who he picked for his vice president? He picked Joe Biden as his vice president. And bottom line, what's killing Kamala too, she's sending the wrong people out to campaign for her. You're getting all these has-beens out there. Bill Clinton, he's going down there into Georgia trying to get the rural people. Well, Bill Clinton needs to understand that some of them may have already voted. And if they hadn't voted, they're not going to vote for a Democrat. They're voting for Trump. And after this fiasco tonight, and here's the thing about Kamala Harris. What I saw tonight is an example of her not being able to answer any tough questions. It wasn't all sunshine and flowers tonight. The old baby girl wasn't sunshine and flowers at night. She got cooked. She didn't have the issues. And she's constantly wearing this earring. It's a little suspect to me. That earring, even if they were trying to feed her the answers, was unscripted. And I'm going to tell you where else. Talking about going on. I know Trump was talking about going to Joe Rogan. He will do well on it, not her. And see, she's trying to mimic Trump. Going over to Fox News was a bad move for her. And then the days aren't increasing until the election, they're decreasing. And people are going out there to vote. Bottom line is this: you either have it or you don't have it. Her problem, she keeps blaming Trump for everything. Trump isn't even in office. She wants to discard what has happened during her term. She's vice president. Now, something that the media said today, I believe it was Van Jones who said it, or one of those House Negroes, or was Holy Poly Martin about the border czar. Well, she was the border czar. I believe it was March of 2021 she was made the border czar. The media claimed that she wasn't. And see, what we have to do, particularly as YouTubers, remember, we are also the media, and we need to start utilizing it a lot better ourselves. I don't care if you have 100 subscribers or 8 million subscribers. You have to get the word out there. Bottom line is, as a black man, and I'm going to say this right now, a number of us black men out here, we can handle our own. I believe what is ticking us off, we saw it today. As a black man, that behavior of Kamala Harris. We look at that behavior, it looks like the typical black bitch out there. That's right. When you tell her she's wrong, she wants to fight you. And see, a lot of these women here in the United States, they're lucky. Because they'll go overseas with that mouth, they're going to get that ass whooped. I know I've been overseas. American women have it lucky. Now, I believe a woman should stand up for herself, but what she was doing today, she number one, she couldn't answer the questions. And every time he was asking her something, she tried to cut him off, so he interjected. You know, that's a tactic that Bill O'Reilly, he does. Because what happens if you don't, individuals go off in tangents. That's how you interview. Now, the Harris campaign is going to have to think this over. Because that's, when you go into an interview like that and you get the floor mopped up with you, Fox mopped up the floor with her. I'm just going to hear this tomorrow in the mainstream media. If not tonight, is going to come out. It's going to say, look at that man, he whooped up on a woman. He should have whooped up on her. She wants the job. Because you got a pussy and titties, it doesn't mean you can't you're not subjected to the same type of punishment that we as men get. You think you got the dick? Well, bottom line, you wanted to get down in the sand with the boys. We're gonna show you what the boys really do. Because if you can't handle being with the boys, go back out there with the girls and keep your fingernails clean. When you come down into the lion's den, there's a chance that you're gonna get eaten. And in order to keep yourself from getting eaten, you better know how to defend yourself. You see, what a lot of women don't understand is they've had a handicap. They've been able to use their gender out here. But now with these younger guys coming up, that gender is not working. They're not feeling you all. And if it sounds like misogyny, it's not misogyny. Because the people who are a lot hateful, it's a number of you women out there. You are the misandrist because you're still running around with that feminism. You're running around and you're delusional. I mean, I look at all these delusional women out there on CNN thinking that Kamala's still the greatest thing since sliced bread when they know in their right mind, when they ask her a question. I mean, every interview that Kamala's had, she hasn't gone on anything longer than an hour, but probably the Oprah interview. And Oprah was looking at her like she was stupid. I mean, when all I hear is, I grew up in a middle class family. Well, so what? Got a number of people that grew up in a middle class family. And a number of us still in a middle class family. And then she talks about Trump. Oh, well, he was given money. So what? That's what families do. She doesn't talk about her father. She didn't have children of her own. Now, I'm not going to excoriate her for not having children of her own. That was her choice. But she sure loves to talk about deleting babies. But again, I'm going to bring that up. If you're going to talk about that issue, let's go all the way with it. Let's be consistent with it. Because as a man, if you believe in deleting babies, and I'm irresponsible with sex and I knock you up and I don't want the baby, is it then going to be your body? Your baby? Is it going to be your wallet? Hell no. I got to pay. But yet, if I want it and you don't want it, then you absolve yourself of all responsibilities. That's the problem. And the issue is this. You have a lot of people in the media that say the same thing every day. They're all, and this is where Kamala is getting all of her rhetoric from, the media. The media has built her up to be this media darling. Now, she is claiming that Trump doesn't do interviews, that Trump is in a big. Trump has been out there campaigning for almost 2 years. Trump was going against Biden until her party decided to get Biden out there because the first debate was atrocious when Biden and Trump debated. And then they're talking about coherency. Well, did she know Biden didn't have it upstairs? She doesn't always have it upstairs either. She's trying to say, well, Trump doesn't have it upstairs. Oh, he's incapable of being president. He was already president. Trump is sharp. And if Trump is a little bit tired, he has every reason to be, because he's out there humping. His people are out there humping. She's trying to do what he's doing now. He's been doing it for quite a while. He was president. Now, you may not like the guy, but you know what? I can dislike somebody's personality, but if I'm not living in a communist regime, the prices of cost The cost of goods and services are down. I'm not paying 30% for a credit card. I'm not paying $3, $4, $5 for gasoline. I'm getting more of my money that I earn instead of it going out to the government, which in turn the government is going to give it to migrants and is not Israel but Lebanon and Ukraine. Yeah, I'll take that any day. We're going back to Obama. You're not going to frighten us with your rhetoric by telling us who to vote. And some of you sisters out there, you better start reading the book because a number of you don't read either. You're on the plantation. See, the bottom line is with some of you sisters out there, and I'm just speaking to blacks, and some of you black men out there can't control the ones with the mind. And not all sisters. I'm going to say this too. You think all sisters are going to vote for Kamala Harris? You got another thing coming because you got a number of sisters coming out because they see where we're going. See, when you know how to get off the plantation and you can be free, see, the plantation niggas, what they want from us is they want us to be on that plantation. They want us to be sorry like they are. See, they're the real coons. See, they don't have freedom in their mind because deep down inside, and I said this a long time ago in a video, they're slaves. There will always be slaves. That's why so many older Negroes. Now, can I criticize all the older Negroes just for having jobs? No. Because first of all, it takes levels. Okay. Black people did go from slaves to working in a good job to make some money. Now there's some people who believe, no Minister Japp said that, but somebody, and now he is right with the old comfortable Negroes out there. Yeah, you did have some that were comfortable, but you have to look at the time too. Now, the problem with the old Negro, they should have been a little bit better at teaching the young Negro to say, okay, just don't have a job, create a job for yourself. If it also, something too, having some land. And I'm going to say shout out to Angry Man for this, because I actually believe that as well. Part of reparations could be owning some land, owning a house, and you cannot sell that house. You would have to transfer that house down to one of your family members. You couldn't sell it. Now, here's the funny thing. Here in Indiana, blacks own a lot of houses up in Gary. Okay, you know why Gary is so blighted? Gary is blighted because there were a lot of the children who did get the houses. But you want to know what happened? The children didn't want to pay the taxes on those houses, so they left those houses. And where are those houses now? They're blighted, boarded up, they're abandoned. And see, with the Democrats out there, what they really want, they want hoods, they want projects. So they want to keep black people grounded. And my black brothers and sisters out there, don't listen to these white liberals out there. Now, if you are a black person and you're listening to those white liberals, you know those white liberals are the most racist out there. So when you sign up for white liberalism as a black, then you're racist too. And this is why, a number of brothers are hard on not all black women, but a number of black women, because the dumb black women are following the dumb white women. They are following them. And you have a number of knucklehead black men who are following the dumb white men. Liberal people. And Malcolm X said it. Said you should not be following celebrities. You should not be following the white liberal. That's the problem. And see, the white liberal who is racist and sexist themselves, they're calling the kettle black because what it is, they're like the smokers. See, they don't think they're doing anything. And see, when they're used to controlling the narrative, they get egos about being right all the time. That's their problem. And they're controlling the five power conferences of society. Now, do you know what the five power conferences of society are? I made that up. The five power conferences of society are as follows. So you'll know, we start off with jobs, government, we have education, religion, and media. Well, the liberals have gotten into those five areas. They control society. Again, the five power conferences of society: jobs, government, religion, education, and media. Those five power conferences control the culture. This is why it worked. You have so many bullshit diversity programs. And going back to diversity, the funny thing about this, I know there's some people out there that are talking about Candace Owens. She married a white guy. Now, I said this, she married a white guy because probably the black guys that she was around didn't see eye to eye with her politically. But nobody is saying anything about Kamala Harris. And nobody is saying anything about Ketanji Jackson. She married a white guy. But Clarence Thomas, oh, they got a lot to say. And that's the white liberal. See, the white liberal is two-faced. That's who owns all of the media, the white liberals. Look at Hollywood. You see, I always look at it as a black man. You can't live in an environment with white liberals. You can't, because they're afraid of you. They're going to call you nigga all the time, even if you have a college degree, because they're the ones who think they're better than you. They're your leaders. See, this is why black men, a lot of us, you don't see a lot of us working in the corporate world. No. Now, you might see a black man working in a corporate world who's got a little sugar in his tank. So I can control him. They'll become a yes man. But when you have a black man working in the corporate world, he's a threat, especially to the white liberal. The white liberal is weak. And, you know, we always call all the black men simps. The white liberal is the biggest simp. This is why the white liberal believes in feeling good because he has a job title. He has a little bit of money in his pocket. Many of them have egos out of this world because they're insecure people. Liberals are very insecure people. That's why they always shame other people who criticize them. See, they want to criticize you, but they can't take criticism. They're weak people. And if you criticize them, they're going to find some way to get into the system, particularly on a job, to get you fired. This is why you always have to be careful with that white liberal, and of course the black liberals as well. But that white liberal, that's the enemy. And a lot of this is why I don't vote Democrat. I'm not for paying for, like like Kamala Jackson said, a correction, Kamala Harris said, wants the taxpayers to fund sex change operations for prisoners, children. That's wicked. I don't believe in that. You can be what you want to be, but don't pass that off to me. That's a big problem. And when you ask Kamala a lot of these questions, she goes back and, oh, I didn't say that. You ask her why she changed her position, she doesn't answer that. I mean, she says she's for fracking, then she's not for fracking. But look, bottom line is, she's going to say anything she wants to get elected. But when she's elected, she's going to go back to original policies. But the only way she gets elected is if she knows how to deceive people into voting for her. You see, some of these smooth talking dudes out there, like Obama. Obama was a smooth talking dude. Didn't do anything for black people. He did a lot for the alphabet community. You look at Jim Jones. He thought he was God. 900 people were killed. Guyana, 1978. This is why you can't be weak-minded. And a lot of it comes from these liberals out here. See, these liberals live these lifestyles that are uncontrollable. Now, let me clarify something when I say liberal. I'm talking about the progressive liberals, not the classic liberals. See, the classic liberal believes in freedom. It's your progressive liberal who believes in anything goes, which basically leads to destruction of a society. This is why Greece and Rome fell, because they don't have any holds barred, or they believe that they can do anything and say anything they want. But if you disagree with what they say, they want to silence you. So they have a communist vibe as well, a tyrannical vibe as well. And that's one thing I did hear on this, didn't hear on this interview tonight with Brett Baird. I didn't hear the joke. She tried to go into it. Well, I'm from a middle class family. Bottom line is, again, why doesn't she mention her father? I mean, what happened between her mother and father? Nobody wants to reveal that. What people need to do before I close this video out, you need to be one who thinks for yourself. Take the feelings out of it. See, the problem that I see with what's going on, and when I watch all these shows on the media, none of those individuals are politically astute. They don't know what's going on. They're all about delusion and feelings. In other words, you think about it. All this delusion that I see, a number of these women on these shows like The View and CNN, they all have what we call arrested development. And what do I mean by arrested development? These individuals are children. They never grow, they stop somehow. They age chronologically, but their mind stopped growing. Something came about in their life when they were young, and they never dealt with it. That's a big problem. And now, when they become adults, they see delusion. This is why they can't handle truth. And I see a lot of this, particularly in women. That's why when women vote, they're not voting on the issues like men. They're voting on, okay, deleting babies is a big issue for them. That doesn't constitute anything about making money, economy, border security. See, a lot of women, they believe in that dumb shit. That's their problem. They don't read, and they live in the lies because they're used to being lied to. When you lie to a number of women, it makes them feel good. And as a man, it's not my job to make you feel good, tell you what you want to hear. It's what you need to hear. This is why when I go to work during the day, I don't sell out. I'm going to be professional, but if you take me there where I gotta bring the hood out, I'm gonna bring the hood out. Because you're putting me in a position to where I gotta give you something that you're gonna understand. You don't understand professionalism. I gotta give you something that you can understand. That's how you have to deal with people. And that's the thing. You get the Joy Reids out there. Oh, she needs a mental institution. This woman, this woman is sad. I mean, she's out there spewing all the propaganda and they're letting her spew it. They're letting her spew it. Now, if Trump had some real goons, I send them real goons onto the media, onto the View, and let them check them fools. That's what I would do. Want to shut them down? Go visit them at their place because they're not going to come to your place. I mean, mainstream media is nothing but corrupt. They're in the tank for the Democratic Party, all of them. I know when Vance was debating, he was debating against two people or three people. Now, Vance, he was able to shut it down a little better than what Trump did. I mean, Trump was letting Harris get under his skin. He didn't have to. What Trump should have done in that debate was, okay, let's get on the deleting baby issue. I said, that's not my focus. It's in the hands of the state. If you want to get it back into the federal government, then you put it through Congress. That's all I have to say about that. But I would turn around to her and say this, okay, but we want to put it out this way. Now, no politician is going to say this. I'd say, okay, we've been looking at the deleting babies issue from one side. So let's look at it from both sides now. Again, I've already said it twice, so I'm going to say it a third time. As a man, okay, you say you're pro-choice, right? Okay, all right. What if you and I get into a little entanglement and the baby is made? I don't want the baby. Is it then still your body, your choice? Or do I have to be responsible for something if I don't want it? You're going to see a lot of pro-choice individuals become pro-life because they're going to expect you to provide the financial backing for that child. But now, if it's the other way around, where she wants it, or I don't want it, or let me slow down, or she wants it and I don't, I'm still responsible for it. But if I want it, she doesn't want it. I don't have a say. This is where the deletion of babies issue has inconsistencies. So if you're going to put that issue out, let's go all the way with it. It's not half-assed, but you have a number of individuals out there. But I'm going to tell this to you right now. With this vote out here, not too many people are going to say this on YouTube. I know Obama came in there, and I hear a lot of men saying, well, like for black men. But why is it all about black men? There are other men out there. Why didn't Obama go out there and say anything to the white men, to the Asian men? Is it that he thinks that the women control the men? Now, the women control the simps. Yeah. But simps come in all races. But why was he really targeting black men? Because technically, a Republican was elected without a large black vote. Nobody's saying that. George Bush didn't get much of a black vote. Trump didn't get much of a black vote the first time. Yes, because the demographics are changing and you have a lot more registered Democrats than Republicans, the popular vote generally will go to the Democratic candidate. But why? That he court black men. I mean, he came up there and said, "You brothers," and he was acting like he was their father, telling them, "Well, well, nobody pushed back on him." Now, I would have said, "Mr. President, with all due respects, your economy wasn't that great either. In fact, you were a big race divider. Everything started racially when you had the beer summit, when you invited that professor who the police stopped. I believe it was in Massachusetts. You, the police officer, and the professor, you all had a beer summit. People forget that. You had a beer summit. The Black Lives Matter. That was initiated. In NAACP, which I've told people it's not an African American organization. You might have your ranches. Only Ida B. Wells and W.E.B. Du Bois, they were the only founders of the NAACP. And I believe it was founded uh, with, you had some Jewish folk against white supremacy, but they wanted to utilize black people. That's the problem. See, black people in the past, we weren't allowed to read and write, so we didn't know much. We were always getting used. And yes, I, you do have to look at this situation. We don't have slavery today, but there are still elements of racism out there. Look at your white liberals. Yeah, you have some on the right that are racist, but I find the people on the left to be the most racist and sexist. And you know how I know this? Because that's what they talk about the most. So when you're constantly talking about something, you're trying to reassure yourself that you're not the racist person, when in essence, you are. You're not the misogynist or the misandrist, but in essence, you are. It's on the left. It's on the left because these individuals sleep, breathe, and walk communism and socialism, because the real threats to the country, not Donald Trump, it's not the MAGAs, it's them. That's why they're trying to pound it in our heads so much. They're the ones who want population control. People like Bill Gates, all these celebrities out here, they're the ones who are the real threat. See, all Donald Trump is a threat to is their power. Donald Trump but not only that, he stands between them and us. And he's damn sure took a bullet. See Kamala Harris out there taking a bullet. Something happened to her, it'd be all over the news feed. They would say some Trump supporter did it. That's the problem. We let the media get away with too much. We need to start checking the media, because the media, what that's going to do, it's going to continue. We don't stop it now with their propaganda. Again, it's not just the media, it's your religion. Again, it's your media, your jobs, your government, say religion, government, education, jobs, and religion. Media, government, jobs, education, and religion. Remember those. Those are the five power conferences of society. And the left has infiltrated themselves into those five powers. Those five powers equal to propaganda, which controls the culture. And we were not part of that. We have to educate ourselves. So in the end, when it comes to voting, don't let anybody tell you who to vote for. Don't let the left control you. Because the left in this country, and I'm not saying Democrats or Republicans, I'm saying the left, because these are the people that want transgenderism, they want the alphabet community, they want feminism, they're anti-male, they're anti-family, they really hate the traditional structure. These are the individuals who, in my humble opinion, live lifestyles that are destructive. And they want all of us to believe in what they believe in. And if we don't see things their way, what do? They cancel us. And they cancel us through religion, media, jobs, government, and education. If you want to know what they are, they're the five power conferences of society. So if you want to keep your sanity, you want to keep free, always think free. Don't be a victim. And when you understand what's going on, you can navigate through life easily, and it will be much easier to make choices. And in the end, you want to take the red pill or the blue pill. The choice is yours. And that's my commentary for this edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show right here on YouTube. If you like what I just presented, comment, share, and subscribe. And if you're looking for some STEM content, you check out my second channel, the QCIS channel. On that channel, you get a daily dose of science, technology, engineering, and math. Now, here's where you can find me on both channels. Now, for the 401 Talk Zone radio show, once I upload all of my videos, you can look me up on X, which is Twitter. I'm also on Rumble. So the same information that you're hearing tonight is going to be on Rumble. And it's going to be on Truth Social as well. Now for the QCIS channel, you can find me on Twitter and LinkedIn. And in the end, be blessed for what you have. Don't worry about what you don't have. Always know that the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. And if it doesn't apply, let it fly. But if the shoe fits, wear it. If you don't like the shoe, then change it. Once again, thank you for listening to this edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show right here on YouTube. Till next time, my name is Leon Jones. I want you all to have a wonderful and gracious evening. God bless you. I'm out.